Utility lands are good. Utility lands are good. 18 basic swamps. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and we're going hard on the Mono Black today. JC submitted a fair Necrodominance Mono Black deck that I've tuned up a little bit. So here's what we're working with. The biggest change that I made was that JC's list originally started out with 3 copies of Karn the Great Creator, and those 3 copies of Karn were eating up the majority of this deck's sideboard in a way that I didn't necessarily think was a good thing. So I subbed out those Karns for a few more fair creatures. The deck, I think, originally had like 3 Karns and I think 2 more Hymn to Turoks. I added a couple Thought Seizes in here. So the idea is that we can just be this fair Necrodominance control deck list and supplement that with life gain from literal life linking creatures like Exsanguinator Cavalry or the newer Barrowgoyf, which is a Tarmogoyf that has like lifelink and death touch attached to it. Or Sheoldred plus Necrodominance is pretty good. So I considered going a little bit deeper on this deck list and trying to do some of the Soul Spike tech that we see in Modern. Ultimately, I decided that like the card just fully being uncastable probably meant that I didn't want to do that. The deck list submitted did originally have 2 copies of March of Wretched Sorrow. I think this is just a card I'm not excited about within the context of Legacy. You know, if you want to play a Modern deck where you have like Urborg Cabal Coffers to kind of go ham with this, I think it's more reasonable here. But like we are really just going to play a straight up nearly unwastelandable mana base today. Just like never lose basic lands. We are going to play a couple Fell the Profanes as a bad removal spell that can be a land when we need it to be. I think that is, perfectly fine. You know, you could put a Castle Locthwain in here. You could play a couple of fetch lands and a few surveil lands. We're going to try this as is. I am a little worried about the loss of life from Thoughtseize and Reanimate and Necrodominance, which is why I have chosen to exclude fetch lands from this mana base here. Sideboard is pretty expected stuff, except maybe Vexing Bauble. Vexing Bauble is something I have liked a lot in these fair decks. Against something like Rescaminator, it shuts off Grief, Force of Will, Daze for the most part, and also has a lot of overlap versus other combo decks. Honestly, I think that's what I have to say. Like, let's go battle. Folks, should you need some cards, maybe you need some Necrodominance or Barrowgoyfs, check out toamagic.com. Use promo code ThrabenU when you do to save 5% on your order, and you always get free shipping with them. They're a great group of people. I vouch for them personally, and I order cards from them myself. Let's go cast some Dark Rituals, huh? So this hand is a little bit awkward in that I can't use my Dark Ritual until turn 2. I think I'm just going to keep it anyway. Tropical Island into Elf. I guess I could Sheoldred's Edict that as a 2-for-1 on turn 1. Douthie is also an okay thing to just do here. Let's just Douthie and Sheoldred's Edict on turn 2. I don't think I'm going to mess around with Grief. If my opponent shows us specifically that they are a Cloud Post deck, I could consider griefing to put something interesting under Douthie Voidwalker. Ooh. Well, now I got all sorts of interesting. Bojuka Bog is being represented, though. So let's do this turn. Please sacrifice a non-token creature for me. My opponent may end up responding here. They are getting rid of Trop. It is a Thespian Stage. I believe I'm now going to just follow up on this. See what's going on over there. Shuko? Okay. So this is just sort of a wild Nadu depths list. This reanimate's a lot worse than I was kind of hoping. So is that other reanimate. Okay. I don't have any fun lands to get with Elvish Reclaimer. So we are just going to go to Punchies. Punch with Douthie Voidwalker. Opponent's at 14. I will reanimate the Grief. Mostly for the 3/2 body. Yeah, so 4 lands there. Nothing in my opponent's graveyard because of my own Douthie Voidwalker here. Alright, so there's my opponent's construct. We'll see if they even want to make another. They just have a Dark Depths in hand, so they can just make mana here. Oh, right. Yeah, that's a problem. The Lava Spur Boots just gives that token haste. I get punched immediately. I don't even get a turn to attempt to top deck an answer to it. Luck. Yeah, no, my Griefs did not line up well versus that. I have Nadu to think about too. Okay. So I like Fatal Push, I like Opposition Agent, I don't think I like Vexing Bauble or Powder Keg. The discard's weird, it's very good against Nadu and very bad against the lands. Get rid of that. My Bowmasters aren't very good here, actually. Let's keep a Hymn to Turok and go up one more Sheoldred. Because as we know, Nadu does not draw cards. Nadu puts cards in hand. This is a little lacking. It's very heavy on the Thoughtseize and the life loss. I'm just going to kind of hope that the top of my deck is kind to me and keep this. For the game where I'm on the draw, I will be thinking about... good God. To finish my thought, I will be thinking about Powder Keg for Urza Saga when I am on the draw and the game is a little bit slower. I mean, I'm taking the Nadu. Maybe that's not true. Maybe I take one Mox Diamond and try to get Nadu the following turn with Thoughtseize. Let's try that. Yeah, it kind of feels like my opponent is just trying to build a deck that does not care about Grief Reanimate by putting a lot of value into lands and Urza Saga. That hand was just going to be like Urza Saga on one with Nadu as well. That was a quite good hand. All right. Take out Nadu. This looks a little weird, but I'm making this play because of this. Like, I just need that Necrodominance, I think, to beat the Urza Saga. Missed my land drop, and my opponent doesn't have any goodies in hand for me to take, unfortunately. Still have not remembered to check MTGO settings to see if I can turn this off. See how long it is before I actually remember. Oh god, my opponent is just floating mana. Did they just top deck Nadu? Oh, it's gonna be a green sun, isn't it? Okay, yeah, it's green sun for Nadu. So my opponent gets 4 Nadu activations. There's another Nadu, so if I get rid of it, it just comes back. Yeah, no, this is not great. There's the 4th one. So that's all my opponent did, was draw 4 cards off their Nadu. No real fun cards in exile here. Like, I can play a Necrodominance, but it doesn't really do anything. I'm going to play it, but I expect that I am literally or effectively dead. This is 7 damage as of right now. Let's just go up to the 5. Yeah. Like, now I can't remove the Nadu either. Sure. How long do I sit here and narrate this before I just accept the fact that, like, I am realistically dead? Oh, there's more spells in this deck than I thought. Okay. Sure. I'm just going to concede. This is awful to narrate. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, which is just the best place to keep your online deck lists. And one of the things that I love about them is that you can use it to keep track of what cards you do and don't have for a deck. So for example, in this deck list, I have all of the cards, so there are nice blue bubbles filled in here, and that's automatically ported over to your collection tab, where you can see exactly what cards you do and don't have. Okay, this is not the best, not the worst. I'm going to keep it and hope that my first 2 draw steps present me with something to do on turn 3. Hymn to Turok is, like, not a super powerful Magic the Gathering play anymore, unfortunately. Ooh, we're gonna have a, like, Humans deck or something? Oh, no, Eldrazi. Why did I get excited? It's just Eldrazi. Okay, cool. Now my hand is very good. That was a quite lucky top deck. Oh, we take a bunch of Modern Horizons 3 cards out of my opponent's hand there. So they've still got mana. So this is a very powerful thing. That is going to challenge my Necrodominance. I don't know how to play this turn. It's not Necrodominance, I don't think. I believe that I used the Dark Ritual this turn for a spell. I'm going to put the Sheoldred into play. I'm not 100% sure that that's actually correct. Glaring Fleshraker has really impressed me in the previous league that I recorded. But I think I need to not have this card eat a Thought-Knot Seer. I think that's very important. What does that do? Return a creature an opponent controls to hand. Okay, got it. Sure. Got it. A Dark Ritual. So I can go up to 6 mana. 6 mana doesn't get me anywhere. I'm just going to replay the Sheoldred, try to stop the bleeding on the ground. And we'll just keep kind of draining my opponent with Sheoldred. And then hopefully do a cool Sheoldred Necrodominance thing in the next turn cycle or two. Basic wastes in the deck. And I guess I hadn't realized that... Oh, something big's happening. Kozilek's Command. Thanks, I hate it. That's Fireball. So I eat 5 from all of these triggers. Take 4 damage from attacks. Now my Necrodominance isn't good. I get super punished for not using Fel the Profane on this creature. That's rough. Oh, am I just dead? That's 5 mana. So that's Kozilek's Command. Wow. What a batshit insane turn. So that's 4 more direct damage. 5 more direct damage. What a punish for not removing this creature and choosing to play around Thought-Knot Seer. That was gross. I want more of these. Fatal Push is okay. Powder Keg has text. I'm not the most excited about the stuff that goes after my opponent's hand, especially due to like Chalice of the Void type cards. I am also not very excited about Orcish Bowmasters, honestly. That card's pretty bad here. It may mean that I am keeping Thoughtseizes. Powder Kegs can clear Chalice and Eldrazi Spawn. It's a very slow control card. I think I'm just going to play 1 Opposition Agent as a... Maybe I just keep 1 Bowmaster as something that is a flash creature to trade with early aggressors. I just talked about how like I wasn't going to be the biggest fan of attacking the hand, but here we are, attacking the hand. Alright, get in there. Oh, sure. My opponent's very reasonable hand is just going to be a hand that does nothing. That is very lucky for me. Although this Thoughtseize is probably never accomplishing anything this game. Alright. Yeah, my opponent literally has 5 lands versus a Grief. And it's just, how well do they top deck? Well, I can just answer that, though. Please sacrifice a non-token creature. Get out. Attack for 3. We know all of my opponent's cards. Okay. That's a very good fair Necrodominance. My opponent's at 14. I'm going to do this. I'm going to draw like 6 cards. I'm fine discarding some. I just think that I need... let's get rid of that. And put the Troll directly in my graveyard without cycling it. 5 mana next turn without Dark Ritual. 2, 2, 1. Maybe I just don't need Dark Ritual. I guess Dark Ritual lets me Dark Ritual Sheoldred's Edict in response to a Thought-Knot Seer. That's fine. So end of turn, I Swamp Cycle. Pick up a Swamp. I don't draw a card because of Necro. Sheoldred's Edict, please sacrifice a non-token creature for me. Like so. Galaxy Voidwalker. Go to Punchies. Punch for 3. Card 11. Reanimate. Target Thought-Knot Seer. Yaw. Opponent doesn't have anything. Move to end step. I'll draw 4 cards. Those aren't the best cards, but it's probably good enough. I guess I maybe should have considered leaving myself at 6 life because of top deck Reality Smasher. Sowing Mycospawn. Yeah, you got it. There's a Caracas. Sure. Anything have void counters? Nothing has void counters on it. So bam. Or 10. This is not a lethal attack. It's pretty much always a lethal attack next turn. I maybe just leave the Thought-Knot Seer back as a blocker. Yeah, I'm just going to leave the Thought-Knot Seer back as a blocker. Attack for 6. Put my opponent to 5. Play Douthie. I don't think I need any more cards with Necro. Ooh. Notably, that is going to end up in exile with a void counter. Alright, we get that one. When I'm on the draw and am under more pressure, do I want to get rid of Necrodominance and just play more bodies? That is perhaps reasonable, especially now that I know my opponent has Null Drifters. Orcish Bowmasters is then much better than I thought it was. I am going to trust that my opponent has a reasonable monster in their hand so that I can Thoughtseize into Reanimate. This hand would eat it to Chalice on 1 pretty badly. Him to Turok, not bad. Thoughtseize, target you. Hey, you only do the fun stuff if you're kicked, right? Did my... yeah, my opponent kept a 1-lander. I'm just going to take the Thought-Knots here still. It's a little awkward that these can potentially bounce it, but like given my opponent's mana situation, I don't think that's realistically happening. Alright, so I take 2, and then my opponent will just play this out as a 2/2 base creature that gets buffed by this. Sure. So, I just Bowmaster and trade with this turn. My opponent plays 1 card. I him to Turok 2 cards out of their hand and then reanimate afterwards. I am into that. Okay, sure. So let's Bowboy. Bowmaster pings. It's it that heralds the end. I'll then block with the token to trade. Keep this body around for null drifter nonsense. I don't have Kozilek's command. Sure. Oh, so they exile Thought-Knot Seer from the graveyard. I'm actually very glad that I took that card out then. Sure. So, I've got 2 cards left in hand. Let's get rid of those. This is on cast. This is on cast. I guess we just take the 3/3 creature. Just in an attempt to stabilize the board. Again, slightly awkward versus stuff like this. So opponent is getting closer to those large creatures. This is a 3/3. Given where my life total is at, I will just go ahead and block. That's fine. Ooh. Sure. I'll play a Douthie Voidwalker. I'll attack with this. I would trade a Bowmaster and a Bowmaster ping for it that heralds the end on this board. Sure. That's a land. Hopefully this is not just leading immediately into Reality Smasher. Sure. I will just, I think, use my mana. Ping my opponent here. Continue to attack with Douthie Voidwalker. Hope to draw something like a Sheoldred that's impactful. Nope, it's a swamp. Send in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 towards a giant monster. It is a Battle Mage. The opponent could bounce my Orc Army token and kill it. And they could attack here and try to make me trade with both Bowmasters. They do not want to. I might just bottom out and only draw swamps from here. That would be inconvenient. My opponent can just attack with these and not make an unfavorable trade in combat. Right, they are going to go with both. I will double block. You know, if they drew a removal spell, they drew a removal spell. Okay, seems like we are just trading. Okay, no play. Barrowgoyf is great on this board. Send in for 3. Opponent's at 9. We will play the 4/5 lifelinker that gives me additional value. You know, this is what we have. Very possible that this is going to be an end of turn Kozilek's command that just exiles it. I don't really have a choice in the matter. Sure. The opponent and I are on similar clocks here, but they have the opportunity to play something like a Reality Smasher immediately that just kills me. I take 2. What's your big play? Can't cast that card. I can convert my 3/2 Shadow into a 2/2 regular old creature. That's bad against another one of these. I guess I Thoughtseize. It just feels really bad. Is it yet another Kozilek's command? So I will sacrifice this. Use it, that heralds the end. They still get to scry. Oh, it's multiple sowing mycospawn, sure. So I cast this as a blocker. That's not great for me. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Knew that when I made my play. GG's. We are not the best at lining up Grief Reanimate, huh? If I view these as 4-drops, the hand's not the worst. If I Thoughtseize and see that I need additional interaction, I do have it. Opponent keeps on 5. Let's see if we just get turn 1 killed. Yup. We're gonna die on turn 1. Okay. Cool. I lost my removal spell. I guess that bodes well. Oh, no, I am just dead on turn 1. So Calling the Weak is 4 mana. Oh no, I'm not dead. Cool. I just have no playable cards. Alright, well. Last turn. Let's see if we top deck our way out of the grief. And I can just die to my opponent, assembling 4 mana plus any of the oops all spells things that are broken. Sheoldred alone will basically stabilize the board. At some point I need to think about casting either Thoughtseize or pitch casting Grief to just kind of keep the cards over there in check. Now? How about right now? Grief and Thassa's Oracle. Let's keep that Oracle in hand, maybe. Get rid of the Grief. I'm going to play a Necrodominance. And I think hope my opponent does not draw exactly Reanimate and draw 0 cards, just keep my life total higher. And then do the combo next turn. Take 3, down to 11. So go directly to my main phase. I don't draw a card. I play Sheoldred. I can now pay 10 life, draw 10 cards, and then I am well out of range of dying to that Grief. We got a little bit lucky there. 4 Leyline of the Void in. 4 Vexing Bauble in. It's a little worse on the draw. We have to respect Entomb or Reanimate as well. And maybe these for Grief is okay. I think I just want to become as interactive as possible. I don't think I need Necro to refuel. I don't think I need Troll. I don't think I need Bowmaster. Let's change some of these into other hate cards. This 15 creatures, that's a little low. Make it 16, maybe 16 like that. Or honestly, maybe 16 like that. So the cool part here is, since I got very lucky and won game 1, I now can maybe just automatically win one of the next 2 games with Leyline of the Void. I am not going to accept this mediocre 7-card hand on the draw. My Leyline of the Void hands are very strong. This is a good hand if I'm on the play. I'm going to fish for Leyline. I've looked at 3 hands without seeing Leylines. I'll start thinking about keeping hands like this on 4. This doesn't win. 3. Where the fuck are my Leylines? 2. There's a Leyline. Keep Leyline of the Void and 1 land. This is going to be a miserable game of Magic that I am likely to win. It is likely to take me a while to actually start killing my opponent. My opponent's easiest way to win is to Grief something out of my hand and reanimate it. Or otherwise beat me to death with Fair Creatures. LED is a little weird. You just board into Storm afterwards? Ah, it's Goblin Charbelcher. Sure. That just dodges my Leyline. Sure. Yeah. We got belched. We do have, the Vexing Baubles, Thoughtseizes, Griefs and stuff to make that much less likely to happen on the play. So, is Thoughtseize into Douthie enough? I have better hands. I'm going to hope that this is enough. Let's see, my opponent kept a 7, which is scary. Yeah, so we will take the Spy. My opponent's hand does not do anything at this time. They have top decks that just instantly win them the game. And they can shred my hand here if they would like. Sure. The imprint therapy. Am I going to get griefed? LED. Sure. They have grief and feed the swarm. They take my Dalthy Voidwalker if they cast the grief, which is really good because I don't have a follow-up play. They potentially top deck better than I do from here. Exsanguinator Cavalry is not what I'm looking for. Alright. It was a draw that does not kill me. That's great. Not great is just like tapping out to play Exsanguinator Cavalry versus your opponent's combo deck. I'm also not sure that looting with this next turn is going to be better than just slamming a Sheoldred. So I'm always attacking for 2. There are some very good things that I can loot into. I don't care about the cards that are in my opponent's hand for the most part. I care about what they top deck. It's possible that they have something reasonable, like a 4-drop that they can't play. It's so bad if I loot and then just can't play Sheoldred. I'm going to nevertheless loot. Thank you, deck. Very cool. I'm somehow still alive. Dark Ritual is not what I'm looking for. Bash in for 3 again. Put my opponent to 15. Get the blood counter. Loot. Land 4-drop should be fine. I'll just get rid of Dark Ritual. Deck! That's not great. Alright. Lose 2. They're at 13. Well, at least Oops loses to itself. Oh my god. That is a lot of not relevant cards in a row on top of my deck. Loot with Blood Token. Get rid of Dark Ritual. Sure. Pass turn. I have Fell the Profane available, although I don't imagine it is relevant. Am I dead? Okay. We take those. Okay. Hand is perfectly capable. We are always casting Dark Ritual on 1. And now it's just a question of how do I want to sequence the next 2 cards. In the current metagame, I could see it going either way. Sometimes I want to play Bowmaster over Dalthy Voidwalker, so I'm going to go ahead and cast it in this direction. But if I cast Dalthy Voidwalker first, I can put a cool card under it and then take it. So my opponent's just got a lot of dudes. I don't care about these 2 as much because I'm about to resolve Dalthy Voidwalker, so I think I just take their Psychic Frog. It's a little awkward that that's in the graveyard rather than exile, but say Livy. And we will Dalthy Voidwalker. Yeah, but if we are randomly playing against, say, a Necrodominance is a bad example, but if we are playing against a combo deck that cares about Bowmaster, then just, I'm going to do this before they get another draw. The one card I have not seen is Daze. All. Whatever. 17. So my goal is to just aggro my opponent to death before they aggro me to death. Delver doesn't flip. That's a nice start. We'll just take 1 this turn instead of 3. Big fan of that. Then my opponent will play out their creature. I think I value just playing the threat. I lose it if they top decked yet another counterspell in a row, though. We riot at that point. Send it. So my opponent is taking 6 a turn. They are on a 3-turn clock. My opponent can brainstorm to flip their Delver while also trying to get rid of this Murktide Regent. That is going to be a dead card for this game. So my guess is that Delver flips. Sure. They've got Force of Negation. I'm guessing this Murktide is about to be shuffled away. I'll eat that damage. I think at this point I care the most about Lightning Bolts on these Dalthy Voidwalkers. Alright, fantastic. So, do I cast Thoughtseize? My opponent is dead in 2 turns. I am currently dead in 3 turns. Well, no, I guess I don't have to think about DRC as a 3/3 basically ever. Then yes, I think I will cast this. My opponent does have a Force of Negation that they could use to protect something critical that's in their hand. We are getting a response. It is a Force of Negation junking the Murktide Regent, so they kept that around. Surveil a land away. This is fine. I take 4, I am at 9. Opponent needs to put another body in play or otherwise answer these Douthie Voidwalkers. I believe that I cast Sheoldred pre-combat while these Douthie Voidwalkers are untapped. So that's a daze. I could fight over this. I don't think it is correct to, though. I think I'm just going to attack for 6 still. Like, my opponent is dead next turn, can't Force of Will, can't fetch. They basically need double Lightning Bolt, which they do not have. Cool. So I think I am going to do this in, like, what do I not want to be playing in this matchup? And I think the answer is most of these cards. I want Sheoldreds, I want Vexing Baubles, I want additional removal, and Leylines are reasonable. Leyline does nothing against Psychic Frog, Leyline does nothing against Brazen Borrower. It's good against DRC and Murktide Regent. Not good against Delver. I could do something a little funky like this and hedge against my opponent's stuff. Actually, I don't fucking need Troll. Then I just, like, trim a Grief. I'm fine reanimating other things in this matchup. And, like, trimming Griefs while intending on relying on Vexing Bauble is, like, perfectly reasonable. Sure. I guess I could also play 2 Powder Kegs. That's very slow on the draw, though. This is a reasonable but not great opening hand. My opponent has kept on 6. And we have a turn 1 Delver. I kind of just want to Bowmaster that and move on with my life. This is really weird. I think I'm just going to take my highest upside play, assuming my opponent does not have Force of Will. Just do this, take out the Delver, make the Bauble worse, and keep the ability to just hardcast Grief on turn 2. Yep. You got it. So, Bowmaster ping, scale up the Orc, and it is a Psychic Frog. So, this is a very important Sheoldred's Edict. I'm considering pitch casting Grief. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to cast this. Please sacrifice a non-token creature. Okay, and that's good enough for my opponent to concede. Okay. This hand doesn't do anything unless I Thoughtseize something that is worth reanimating from my opponent. I think I'll mulligan twice. The 5-card hand has a Necrodominance and a Sheoldred. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Yeah, let's believe, but maybe not believe hard enough. Oh, we're playing against Eldrazi. Fuck the Thoughtseize. We ball. Dark Ritual, Necrodominance. I drastically need a refuel here, and I'm fine with discarding Thoughtseize. I'm going to pay 5 here. Discard Thoughtseize and the overcosted Fel de Profane here. My opponent gets their selection. A Dark Ritual to power out Sheoldred on the following turn would have been really nice, but hey, we're on a pretty deep mulligan. You do what you gotta do. Yeah, my opponent has a turn 1 aggro creature, which is, like, not great versus my Douthie Voidwalker that can't block. So, end of turn. Let's go pretty deep here. Those are not good cards. Holy shit. Yeah, I am, like, very off of fair Necrodominance. Like, we have drawn this many cards, and I am very unlikely to win this game from here. That's an awful sign. This is not the mid-range engine of the future. So, a little bit of a Hail Mary here. Hope opponent has a good card. I guess that counts. Take Devourer of Destiny. Sack this. Cast Devourer of Destiny. Do this. I'm going to exile my own Necrodominance so that I get my draw steps back. And then cast an Exsanguinator Cavalry. And we'll see if that's good enough. If my opponent is playing the Bouncy Boy, the Kicker Eldrazi, it might not be. There's Ancient Tomb. So we took this, and opponent just played that. Oh, fuck. How bad's that? Alright, so there goes my life gain. So I'm at 7 here. Another Exsanguinator Cavalry is fine. I don't think I get to attack. I think it's just too easy for me to die from this position. That's an Eye of Ugin. So this is a Sowing Mycospawn. This is going to be 2 damage to me directly. My opponent gets a land and I lose a land. Yavimaya. Everything's by you. And I'm at 5. I'm at 4. Then 3. I think my opponent just goes wide of my blockers. Even if I treat myself like I am at 5, I block the 2 big ones and I'm still just very dead. Yeah, no. Yeah, so we drew a bunch of fair cards. We drew a bunch of extra cards with our fair Necrodominance, and it just simply was not enough to win the game. Sheoldred in. Fatal Push in. My Necrodominance just, like, is not good enough. Unless I also line it up with Sheoldred. I don't know, I did mulligan pretty badly that time. The Vexing Baubles don't really do enough. Most of my opponent's stuff they're paying mana for. So like I can get rid of Necros or get rid of some Thoughtseizes if I just want to kind of fill. I don't think I need Powder Keg for Chalice. Let's keep Necro when I'm on the play. This is turn 1 Cycle Troll. Turn 2 removal spell of some kind. Followed by 2 lifelinkers as long as I hit a land. Unexciting keep. Let's see if it's good enough. It's not a soul land. That's, I guess, quite good for me. Get one of our swamps. So, do I want to just Douthie Voidwalker here? I think so. If for some reason my opponent does not play a creature on their turn, I don't really just want to play Orcish Bowmasters as 2 generic bodies. So that's an Eye of Ugin. My opponent has access to 4 mana, although they don't have actual colorless mana as of right now. Sowing Mycospawn fixes that problem though, and the land enters untapped, meaning that they can follow up with some other spells. Multiple? Yeah, so if that heralds the end requires 1 colorless mana to be spent on it, and a Dismember. Good God. So that's a hell of a turn. I don't think I telegraph. Oh fuck, I can't Bowmaster ping Eldrazi Mimic anymore because of fucking It That Heralds the End. What a goddamn disaster. I guess I'm playing Exsanguinator Cavalry. Like, my opponent just vomited 3 creatures into play at the same time, so my Edict is no longer particularly good. How bad is this turn going to be for people named Phil? Feels bad. Okay, the combat step is just happening as is. I know this is a trap. I'm just not quite sure how. Or no, I do just think I won't. I see. You are just offering that straight up trade. I can't use Sheoldred's Edict to get the creature that I want. I think I'm just accepting a 1-for-1 trade here. I think I just need to stem the bleeding. Okay. So this feels like Kozilek's Command to me. I think I play around that by... And also just exiles graveyards too. I want to use all of my mana and use 2 of this on my opponent's turn to trade with It That Heralds the End. I want to play this. I think I'm just okay with this getting countered. Oh. Unexpected. Cool. Pass turn. I think I'm going to try to Bowmaster this and then Edict this. There's some risk in leaving this body around, and like the fact that it could reduce. Alright, opponent does not attack. Do I want a Bowmaster face? Not really. Please sacrifice a non-token creature. And this lets this attack in, and I can play another one to make it scale up better. I'm not exactly sure what's in my opponent's hand over there. It's maybe just more lands, or more mana of some kind. The Exsanguinator Cavalries are going to scale up quickly. I'm still horrified by the things my opponent is capable of top decking here. We're also just not that far away from Eye of Ugin activation, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, any land drop is the 7th to search for Eye of Ugin. It's Legend ruling an Eye of Ugin. That is such a rare play. The Eye of Ugin taps for 1 mana due to Yavimaya. So that allows an Eye of Ugin activation, getting a Devourer of Destiny, which can exile one of these next turn. My opponent can attack and hit me. That's fine. Barrowgoyf. The one, this is essentially 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so my opponent can do their thing. Yeah, I will cast a Barrowgoyf, send in with my menace creatures, hit my opponent for 6, grow both of these a lot. How big is Barrowgoyf? 5, 6. So any one of these 3 creatures is lethal. The Barrowgoyf, it's legend ruling another Eye of Ugin. Get out your rare butterfly nets, folks. So there's the Devourer. Oh no, it is the larger Exsanguinator Cavalry that is going. And a Thought-Knot Seer. Oh, that's pretty good. That means my opponent's not dead immediately. This is a weird spot. They just die if I draw a land and they don't take Sheoldred, but double Bowmasters also kills them. Yep. So there's this. My opponent's last card needs to be Kozilek's Command to not be dead. Do I even attack? Nah. Colorless. 1, 1, 1. No, that doesn't actually get rid of Sheoldred. Dismember doesn't do it either. Oh no, they did have for X equals 5. Oh, because it's an Eldrazi spell, so it costs 2 less. That'll do. Oh no! But yeah, oh, so modal. Wow. So spells that have multiple modes resolve top to bottom, and the exile creature is under, or sorry, yeah, the exile creature is under the draw a card one, meaning that that is not actually an out for my opponent here, and they do take the 2 from the Sheoldred. That was not on my bingo card of things to be thinking about. I still think I just end up winning that one the vast majority of the time anyway. Like, the Bowmaster is 1 direct damage, and then I just need to find 1 more damage over the course of the rest of the game while already having 2 very good bodies in play. But yeah, that was neat. On the draw, I don't think I like these. I am going to play a couple of pieces of Hand Disruption to kind of help me out in the early turns. This is an okay hand. It's got Fatal Push for an initial, like, turn 1 creature. Douthie Voidwalker is not the blocker that, you know, I really want. I think the hand's okay. My opponent's on 6. They get a Devourer of Destiny trigger for their first turn. 3 cards go to exile, so my opponent kept 2 of them. We're hoping to take out, like, a Mimic or a Herald or something on turn 1 to actually use my first turn's worth of mana. But that does not happen. And we drew another Swamp, which is not what I want. So I'm playing, I think, 1 Fatal Push in the sideboard specifically for matchups with small creatures, not for matchups with larger creatures, because I'm not a fetch land deck, and sometimes Fatal Push is going to miss things that other removal spells otherwise would hit. That is a reasonable creature that my opponent will probably play around. So do I just want to play Douthie instead? No, I want to fog this damage. Oh, this is so much mana. That's gross. So I am going to play Orcish Bowmaster here. If I ping this Eldrazi spawn, my opponent can just sacrifice it, and then I don't actually get my Orc. So I'm going to ping this, even though my opponent will probably just not attack with this turn after I ping it. And that is what it is. I'm going to lose my Sheoldred here. Oh, I did not. What did I just lose? Fatal Push. Fuck, that doesn't even have Revolt. That card's not good. Oh, thank you, Swamp. Very cool. So we'll play Douthie and pass. I am just going to be facing down a 6/6 immediately. Not the biggest fan of that. I legitimately wonder what my opponent is going to target with this trigger, because, like, this is the best creature on my side of the board, but this blocks. Yeah, I like that decision. I'm at 17, then 16, and then the fucking combat step happens and fucks me up. I think I fog 4 damage here with this Orc Army token. And I am in really bad shape. Nothing with a fun void counter under it. More Doughty Voidwalker is not what I am looking for. I'll attack with it since it can't block, but Dismember, sure. Wait, hold up. That was bad timing on my opponent's part, right? Now I can just cast that. Probably on the Thought-Knots here. Yeah. Yeah, if they do that once this creature is tapped, I'm in much worse shape. Bowmaster is not good enough right now. I'm going to take 8 before my opponent casts any spells. Ancient Tomb is not super helpful for my opponent right now. I don't think they are going to be bottlenecked on mana this game. Okay, it's a new Sheoldred. That's a Death Toucher for this. Let's see if my opponent has a Kozilek's command. No. We get a Drain 2. My opponent can make this trade and still be ahead on board. Alright, so I take 2 damage directly. So another spell kills me. Cool. It's a land. Oh fuck, the plus from this lord. Yeah, that kills me. So I block the 7, take the 4. And we end up just a little bit too far behind in terms of tempo here. GG's. So after trying out these fair Necrodominance decks a handful of times, I think ultimately, like, I just give a thumbs down to all of them. I think the only time it has looked good is when Brian played that, like, blue Exsanguinator Cavalry Necrodominance midrange deck against me in early testing with unpolished lists. But I think now that people are running around with more polished and more tested lists, this whole idea of refueling with Necrodominance in a fair way, I think is just worse than refueling with something like the One Ring. The black pips are often tough for decks to cast, not this one. You lose your draw step, which is huge. You're often not playing a deck with selection, so you often don't line it up with your best ways to abuse it, even if you board in more copies of that. Yeah, so I think I'm pretty cold on this in these fair mono black decks, or fair decks more generally. As far as the deck itself, I think it was decisively medium. I very much like that I removed Karn from the deck list. That shifts our curve this way for you all. It shifts our curve to lower, especially if we consider Grief as kind of a 0-drop sometimes. But ultimately, I don't think this deck was good enough at any one thing. You know, we don't have, Entombs or Psychic Frogs to really make our Reanimates pop off hard. We don't have unfair ways to really abuse Necrodominance once that happens. I think this is a, fine, like, low tier 2 option or something like that. Like, this is a playable legacy deck, but given that we are in a legacy format where bans probably are happening next month to address the current power level of the format, like, you gotta take the kid gloves off and, like, you've just got to come just absolutely swinging, playing high-powered stuff right now. And I don't think this deck passes the bar for current legacy power level. This is the sort of thing that I think you can revisit later on, but I'm not overly excited about this. So yeah, folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. You need magic cards, you know where to go. Promo code ThrabenU to let them know that I sent you. I should say something smart here to end the video. Crap.